because it was a plague of darkness, thick darkness that could be felt, so that no man could move from his place for 3 days. And in Revelation, it is the plague of the river Euphrates drying up. Those to me sound like a depression, a worldwide depression. But it will hit the West hardest. After all, it seems like the Russians have learned how to live without an economy, but this country is not. And it would appear to me that if we get a depression next, a politician has two options: either blame himself or blame somebody else. Most people consider that a no-brainer. And who usually gets the blame? The Jews, yes. And I think it will cause the American Jews also to return, because in these last two plagues, plus the depression, then the Jews will have been driven from Central Europe, from Eastern Europe, and finally from the West. With the bulk of the Jews returned to Israel, what is left but the seventh, the last plague, the death of the firstborn, which I would associate with Armageddon. The Jews are already back. They're amazingly saved by an East versus West nuclear war, and the scripture for that would be Ezekiel 39:6. And I will send a fire on Magog, that's the eastern, and on them that dwell securely in the isles, or the isles of the Gentiles. And that sounds to me like it's a nuclear exchange, and when each of them are getting their own territories bombed, they're hardly in a position to support their foreign armies in the neighborhood of Israel. So I think today we seem to be towards the end of plague number 8, or else we are just awaiting number 9. And as we look at the economy of this country, and around the world for that matter, maybe those old fellows that thought the world was flat were right. A question is raised concerning Psalms 83, and when? There are three possibilities that I know of. Most of the tribes listed in Psalms 83 are from Shem, but we have one, Tyre or Tiras, which is from Japheth. And we associate Rome with that because it was settled by the Etruscans with the support from Thrace. But we have also the Philistines mentioned, and they are from Ham, from Egypt to Crete to the coastal lands of Israel, especially in the south. So there's at least representatives of Ham, Shem, and Japheth that are all against Israel. The question is, what does the psalm prophesy? Possibility 1, it's all wars against Israel before Armageddon, and the result will be temporary safety, as in the thought of the unwalled villages in Ezekiel 38. Second possibility, one war between now and Armageddon. And again, the result will be temporary safety. And then the third possibility, down here, that it may be Armageddon, the last plague. The support for that would be found in the reference to Gideon versus Midian, and also to Deborah against Sisera, both of which, clearly enough, do typify Armageddon. The temporary safety in that case precedes this final world calamity of Psalms 83. Which of the three will it be? Well, stay tuned to the news from time to time. Brother Len.
Richard, could I change a couple of my slides?
You surely can.
Can everybody hear me from here? These mics are supposed to pick us up.
Move the mic.
These are better mics, so. Well, it's been very interesting. Our commission was to discuss Israel 2008 and beyond, not history but going as far out as we could prophetically see into Jacob's trouble, Battle of Armageddon. It's been interesting for me in thinking about current events, a businessman's perspective versus two scientists. And so naturally we have some divergent points of view on things. I just wonder, Jim, do you have any more really encouraging news?
Yes, the kingdom will follow.
Oh, there we go. That's what we got to remember.
Brother Len, I read the end of the book, and it turns out okay.
Well, that's good. That's something we always have to keep in perspective, that what we're discussing a lot is things that we observe and see and prophetically, but in the end, we know where the outcome is. I wanted to focus for a few minutes at the start of my remarks on Israel's position in 2008, since we're discussing it, because I think there's some very significant things and questions that get raised as a result of that. During the last 60 years, Israel has really sought genuine peace with its neighbors. And when we started this, 60th anniversary, in almost every case, the neighbors have refused to reciprocate with that peace. There's one truism I think we need to remember today, and that's and this is important for us from a Bible student perspective, because oftentimes we talk about, well, Israel today is not God's arrangement because there are a lot of warriors. But remember one thing today: if the Arabs laid down their arms today, there wouldn't be any more war. But if Israel laid down its arms today, there wouldn't be any more Israel. That's a very important thing, and I think that's, as I look at today's sort of situation, that's something that we have to remember. It shouldn't alarm us today that Israel is fighting. We've had some discussions back and forth on this. But if you go back to the earliest days of their crossing the land, they've had to fight their way their whole existence. So I think it's no surprise that I think the fight is going to continue right up until this time when, God finally intervenes for them, or the things that Jim talked about. And so I wanted to mention a couple of these scriptures I think are important along that era and in today's environment. In Zechariah 12:3, prophesies of Israel in our day, and this is one we use familiarly as Bible students. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. I think that's Jim's talking about that very thing. The West, under pressure from the West and other countries, Israel is giving up an awful lot of their land that it fought for since that 1948 war, since the 60 years of independence. And Jerusalem right now is being negotiated away. It's being split into sections that are going to benefit Israel's enemies. Now, Jim actually gave me one scripture. He probably doesn't remember it, but it was a while ago, and I think it's a very significant scripture. That's Exodus 23:31-33. God told Moses in Exodus 23:31-33, I will fix your boundary from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river Euphrates, for I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you will drive them out before you. Here's the significant part. You shall make no covenant with them or with their gods. They shall not live in your land, because they will make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. Now we know that was fulfilled literally, but I think also as we see today Israel's desire for peace versus God's intention for the Jewish people, that's to occupy all the land which he gave to Abraham and his heirs.